So I'm going to continue reading from this book, Fieldbook of Western Wildflowers. I can't remember which year it's from. 1915. So it's quite old. I have my marker here, so I guess I'll start here. It's still the lily family. There's a picture here. Brodiaea congesta. That guy right there. There are many kinds of Brodiaea among the prettiest western flowers. They have a small solid bulb coated with brownish fibers. The stem bears a bracted, roundish head of flowers at the top, the pedicels varying in length. Their leaves, off from the root, are grass-like and soon wither, and the flowers dry up, become papery, and remain on the stalk, sometimes keeping form and color for some time. The stamens are in 2 sets and are attached to the flower tube. Their filaments often winged. Sometimes 3 of the stamens are without anthers, and their filaments are broadened so that they look like small petals alternating with ordinary stamens. So this is grass nuts, blue ticks, covena, Brodiaea capitata, blue violet, spring, California. All through the spring, these lovely flowers grow abundantly all over the hills and fields of California. The slender stalks vary from a few inches to 2 feet tall. The flowers are usually purplish blue, but vary from deep violet to white, and are rather translucent in texture. They measure over half an inch across and grow in a cluster of 7 or 8 flowers, with several membranous purplish bracts at the base. There are 6 anthers. The 3 inner stamens are winged and form a crown in the throat of the flower tube. These Brodiaeas last a long time in water and are great favorites everywhere. The little bulbs are edible and give the name of grass nuts. There are several other names such as cluster lily and hog onion. The name wild hyacinth is poor, as it does not resemble a hyacinth in character. B. capitata pauciflora of Arizona is similar, except that the bracts are white. Covena is the Arizona name. Oco, Brodiaea congesta, blue, violet, spring, summer, Washington, Oregon, California. Much like the last, except that only 3 of the stamens have anthers, and the stem is sometimes as much as 5 feet tall. This grows on open hills in the coast ranges. So that's this one, I guess. Another lily. This one, Brodiaea minor. Harvest Brodiaea B. grandiflora. Looks a little different from the last one. This one, the flowers look more open. There's more of them. In this one, they look a little bit longer. Harvest Brodiaea. Blue, summer, California, Oregon, and Washington. In early June, at the time of the hay harvest, these handsome flowers, which look like clusters of little blue lilies, begin to appear among the dried grass of the hillsides and in open places in the woods. They vary in height from a few inches to over a foot, and the number of flowers in a cluster also varies much. Sometimes there are as many as 10 of the beautiful blossoms, an inch or more long, with pedicels unequal in length and from 1 to 4 inches long, in a large cluster at the top of the stalk, with several whitish papery bracts at the base of the cluster. The color of the flowers is usually a deep bright blue, shading to violet, and the 6 divisions grow paler toward the base and have a brown stripe on the outside. The buds are greenish, striped with brown. The stamens are translucent white, 3 ordinary stamens with long erect anthers, alternating with 3 without anthers, the latter tongue-shaped and petal-like. The leaves, which are thickish and about the same length as the stalk, have withered away before the flowers bloom. This plant very much resembles ethereal spear, Triteleia laxa, but 3 of the stamens are without anthers, and the ovary is not a long stalk. It is the commonest kind around San Francisco. B minor is much the same, but a smaller plant with fewer and smaller flowers. The 3 outer divisions are narrow, with pointed tips, and the inner blunt and broad, and the sterile stamens are notched and longer than the fertile ones. This grows on dry hills and plains in middle and southern California. What's this one? More lilies. Twining Brodiaea volubilis. This one looks more girly, the stem. And it kind of droops a little bit. So twining Brodiaea is pink, summer California. This is a strange, rather grotesque looking plant with its slightly roguish, leafless, reddish stem contorted into curious curves, occasionally quite short, but usually enormously long, sometimes as much as 8 feet, and twining awkwardly, in a snake-like way, around and over the bushes in its neighborhood. There are sometimes a few long, narrow leaves lying on the ground, but when the flower blooms, they usually seem to have withered away. The flower cluster is quite compact, sometimes 6 inches across, comprising from 18 to 20 flowers, with several large pink papery bracts. The flowers are rather pretty, dull pink outside but paler inside. The buds are deeper and more purplish pink, both of dry papery texture. The flowers are over ½ inch across. Their tubes and buds are 6 angled, and they have 3 stamens with anthers and wings, alternating with 3 notched petal-like stamens without anthers. In the spring, the stem grows rapidly for several weeks, and then the flower clusters begin to come out at the tip. If the stem is broken off, the flower comes out just the same, and the stem keeps on growing, even if it is brought into the house. These curious plants are found in the foothills of the Coast Ranges and the Sierra Nevada mountains, and may be seen in open, sunny places along the stage route from Yosemite to Wawona, in the woods near Wawona. I saw it twining around a very tall white larkspur, and the combination was exceedingly pretty. The capsule is egg-shaped and pointed, the seeds black and angled. I'm gonna get some tea. This one says golden stars. Bloomeria aurea. There are 4 kinds of Bloomeria, all Californian, resembling Brodiaea, but the stamens unlike. They have a fibrous coated solid bulb, long narrow leaves, and a bracted cluster of many flowers at the top of a tall flower stalk. The flowers are yellow with 6 nearly equal spreading divisions, the 6 stamens on the base of the divisions with slender filaments, which with a microscope are seen to have a short 2-toothed hairy appendage at base. These are united and form a little cup surrounding the base of the stamens. The style is club-shaped with a 3-lobed stigma. The roundish capsule, beaked with the style, contains several angular wrinkled seeds in each cell. Golden stars, yellow, spring, summer, California. In the late spring, the meadows around Pasadena and other places in the Coast Range are bright with pretty clusters of golden stars. The plant is from 6 to 18 inches tall, springing from a small bulb covered with brown fibers, with a long, narrow, grass-like leaf and a large flower cluster, sometimes comprising as many as 50 blossoms at the top of the stalk. The flowers, about an inch across, and pedicels from 1.5 to 2 inches long, are orange-yellow, the spreading divisions each striped with 2 dark lines, and the anthers are bright green. This looks very much like golden Brodiaea, but the latter has no cup at the base of the stamens. It grows in the southern part of California, and is abundant wherever it is found. B. cleffelandi is much the same, but the flowers are striped with green and numerous buds are green, so that it is less golden and the general effect is not so good. It has numerous narrow leaves. What's this one? The golden stars. And this one says white Brodiaea, Triteleia hyacinthina, ethereal spear, Triteleia laxa. What's these two? Triteleas resembles Brodiaeas, but they have 6 swinging anthers and the ovary has a stalk. So the first one appears as Indian hyacinth. It's blue, grows in the spring and summer in Northwest and Utah. Though the general appearance of the plant is very different, the individual flowers of this beautiful plant very much resemble the bells of a hyacinth, for they have the same waxy, semi-translucent texture. The bluish-green leaves, folded lengthwise and withering before the flower, are sometimes a foot long, and the flower stalk often reaches a height of 2 feet and bends beneath the weight of its lovely crown blossoms. I'm gonna get some tea really quick. Sorry. The cluster has 4 papery bracts at the base and is from 3 to 4 inches across, comprising about a dozen flowers, each nearly an inch long. They are pale velvet, no, not velvet, violet. They are pale violet, with a bright blue mid-vein on each division. The general effect being blue, with a white pistil and 6 stamens in 2 rows, all with the blue anthers and the outer ones with broad white filaments. It is wonderful to find these lovely and exotic-looking flowers, delicately scented, gleaming in the shadow of a dusky oak, thicket, or a deep canyon. They last a long time in water, becoming papery as they wither. This white Brodiaea, which is white and grows in the spring in California, Oregon, and Washington. From 1 to 2 feet high, with very pretty flowers, about half an inch long, delicately striped with green on the outside. With 6 equal stamens, their filaments broad, triangular, and slightly united at base, with yellow or purple anthers and a green pistil. The leaf is grass-like, but thickish, and as long as the flower stalk. These flowers are quite common and last a long time in water. And the last one on this page is ethereal spear, which is blue and purple. It grows in the spring in California and Oregon. Very much like harvest Brodiaea, but rather taller, with more flowers in the cluster and less waxy in texture. varying in color from blue to violet and occasionally white. This is common on hillsides and in adobe fields. The rather fanciful name was suggested by the spear carried by Milton's angel Ethereal. Let's see some. I might read one more page. Muilla Maritima, and then Firecracker flower, Brodiaea Idamea. It's kind of hanging a little bit. There are one or two kinds of Brodiaea. Firecracker flower, which is red and green, grows in spring in California and Oregon. A handsome plant, most extraordinarily both in form and color. The stem is from 1 to 3 feet tall, with a few grass-like leaves, and bears a large cluster of 6 to 13 flowers, 1 or 2 inches long, hanging on slender reddish pedicels. They have bright crimson tubes and apple-green lobes, sometimes turned back, showing the tips of the 3 pale yellow anthers. There are also 3 stamens without anthers and broadened, so that they look like 3 white or yellowish petals. The buds are also crimson, tipped with green, and the whole color scheme is wonderfully brilliant and striking. This grows in mountain canyons and on wooded hillsides, blooming in late spring. Let me get some more tea. Sorry if my voice sounds funny, it keeps catching for some reason. There are several kinds of muilla, much like Brodiaea and very much like allium, but with no onion taste or smell. Muilla, which is white, grows in spring in California and Nevada. A slender little plant, sometimes rather pretty, from 3 to 9 inches tall, with sweet scented flowers, about 3/8 of an inch or less across, white or greenish, striped with green outside, with 6 bluish swinging anthers. This grows in alkaline fields, on sea cliffs and mesas. There are a good many kinds of erythronium, all but one from North America, and east and west. They are among the prettiest flowers. They have deep, membranous, coated, solid bulbs, a pair of netted, veined, unequal leaves, sometimes mottled with brown. Flowers without bracts, large, nodding, and bell-shaped, with usually 6 divisions, all colored alike, and the tips turning back, each with a nectar groove, and each with 2 or 4 little scales at base, or only the 3 inner divisions with scales, stamens on the receptacle, anthers not swinging, style more or less 3-lobed, capsule more or less oblong, and 3-angled. The younger plants are often flowerless, with only 1 broad leaf and a long leaf stalk. The name is from a Greek word meaning red. Though these flowers are mostly yellow, the common name dog-tooth violet is old and suggested by the little white tooth-like offshoot often found on the bulb, but of course they are not in the least like violets. In California they are often called Chamis lily, and sometimes Adam and Eve, because the plant often bears a large and small flower at the same time. Mr. Burroughs would like to call it fawn lily, on account of the mottled leaves of some kinds, which slightly suggest the ears of a fawn. Adder's tongue, probably suggested by the long forked pistil, is also an old and unusual name. So, this one is the next page. I'll start over here next time, perhaps. Yeah, I think I'll stop the video here. Let's get my bookmark. So yeah, some of these Western wildflowers. Yeah, thank you for watching my videos, and hope it helped you fall asleep a little bit.